Welcome back. You're watching Newsline. Security agencies now admit that they were caught unawares by a gang of armed men who raided a county referral hospital in Iten, Elgeyo Marakwet and rescued a wanted bandit who was being treated there. KU North Sub-County Police Boss Tom Makori now says the gunmen were bandits and that police officers at the facility could not engage them in a fire exchange because that would have traumatized patients. Here's Shadrach Miti with the details.
In yet another incident showing another growing confidence and perceived bravery of unmatched levels by bandits in the north, a group of armed men stormed Iten County Referral Hospital, staged a rescue mission and successfully made away with a patient who was receiving treatment but was wanted by the police. The daring gunmen stormed the hospital and fled with the male patient identified as Dennis Kemboi, as panicky patients and helpless police officers manning the male ward watched in disbelief as they whisked him away and disappeared in darkness.
One of those people ambao tulikuwa tuna jua ni ya kwamba ni victim katika ile uvamishi ilitendeka katika sehemu ya roll, sio akupata majeraha ya risasi katika hiyo area ya roll, kumbe alipata majeraha mahali pengine area ya Baringo North.
Challenges that the police officers are facing that they don't want to tell us, and the only person who can know is IG Koome and probably the CS Kindiki to come and understand why are the police officers not responding to anything. Is there a go-slow or what is happening? Because the reason why banditry is spiraling is because of the culture of impunity.
A patient had one gunshot wound to the chest. He had been managed from Wednesday last week. He was stable and he was due for discharge on the day that he was taken.
The man was under investigations over banditry activities in Kerio Valley, and police were intending to arrest him, but his gang members got wind of the impending arrest and staged the daring rescue. A police report indicated that at about 00:45 hours, police officers acted on information that a patient being treated of gunshot wounds at Iten County Referral Hospital was intending to escape from the facility. Consequently, 10 police officers drawn from the DCI KU North and Iten Police Station visited the hospital and found Kemboi in stable condition. 4 police officers went to the ward to help secure discharge of the said man, while the other 6 officers were stationed at the hospital's main gate. And immediately after procuring the discharge of the patient, a group of 10 young men, 6 of them armed with AK-47 rifles, stormed the ward and snatched Kemboi from the grip of the police officers.
Kulikuwa na mawasiliano kati ya huyu mgonjwa ambao alikuwa hospitali na wale watu ambao walikuja kurescue yeye, ya kwamba askari wakati walifika tu hivi wafamishi waliingia. Wakati walionekana askari wakaona ya kwamba ile hali setup ya hospitali iko wagonjwa, hawangeweza kutumia silaha.
Looks like there is something else which we don't understand. It could be sabotage. It could be that probably the police are not paid, or something that they don't want, or their conditions are not good, or we recruited people who don't want to work anymore, or people people are not interested in working anymore. There is just something that is not understood.
The unprecedented bold attack on the hospital is yet another show of might by the bandits against security agencies in the north. Despite an ongoing operation to flush out bandits and other criminal elements in the area, it would appear the crooks have either outwitted or overpowered security agencies in the area, a situation that has got leaders from the region wondering and raising many questions over the government's ability to deal with the problem. Shadrach Miti, KTN News.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki will be the first CS to face members of parliament and answer questions from legislators. This after MPs amended their standing orders to allow ministers to answer questions in the plenary as a way of bolstering accountability. Meanwhile, the Departmental Committee on Defense has tabled a report that, if adopted, will see suspects of murder who are foreigners being tried in Kenya. KTN's political affairs reporter Daniel Kariuki has more.
The Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Moses Wetangula.
After 2 weeks recess, members of parliament, both from the National Assembly and Senate, resumed their sittings Tuesday afternoon.
I wish to welcome you back from the short recess.
And after President William Ruto hinted of cabinet secretaries appearing before members of parliament To answer questions directly for accountability, the CS will be appearing on Wednesday.
The first Cabinet Secretary to appear in plenary on the afternoon sitting of Wednesday, 12th April 2023, that is tomorrow afternoon, will be Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, the Honorable Professor Kithure Kindiki.
And on an average day, we want to deal with at least 3 ministers. If the questions are spread thinly, then 4 ministers at the very most.
Members of Parliament have been urged to concentrate on important topics that will benefit their constituents.
Represent your constituencies. So don't bring a question, then you embark on asking things that are unrelated to the very question that you have brought to the House.
And I shall be updating again on Thursday during the normal statement on the Cabinet Secretaries who appear in the following next week.
Meanwhile, the National Assembly Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations Committee has tabled a report that will now see murder trials of foreigners arraigned in the country. In a report tabled this afternoon on the defense cooperation between Kenya and the United Kingdom, the committee has recommended that any troop found to have been involved in murder to be tried in the country for murder charges.
We have included murder so that there is no runaway murder. For as long as you are in the jurisdiction of this country, you must be put on trial by that state, not repatriating the officers to be tried elsewhere.
That is why, Madam Speaker, we have not been able to totally resolve the issue of the death of Agnes Wanjiru, Madam Speaker.
As a country, Kenya has really benefited out of this cooperation, whereby Kenyan officers are trained in UK, and when they are in the country, they exercise alongside each other, and that cannot be taken for granted.
This comes after the death of Agnes Wanjiru, who was allegedly murdered by a British soldier. Meanwhile, Cabinet Secretaries will also appear before Senate on Wednesday mornings. Daniel Karaoke, KTN News.
Provision of medical services in public hospitals is set to be paralyzed in 1 week if medical workers are not paid their dues promptly. Health workers' unions are warning that they will down their tools if their salaries are not paid within 1 week. The Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union and the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, both health services, say today more than 40 counties have not paid medical workers their dues as well as their statutory deductions for several months. The union leaders argue that non-remittance of statutory deductions has made health workers not access the same services that they offer.
You should be staying away from work, not because you're on strike, but because you're waiting for that money to reach your account, then you proceed to work. Because it's your right. Somebody should expect you to be at work while they cannot facilitate you to be at that place of work. And in fact, the efficiency of collection of taxes has increased by 8%. It means we are collecting more money. It is just the priority of the government that differs.
Our members either have not been paid their salaries, and for those who have been paid, their statutory deductions have not been paid. And so they cannot even be able to access services of National Hospital Insurance Fund. We cannot even be able to access the health care that we offer.
Ahead in business news, we tell you how the government collects, spends revenue, and why it's in the red. Stay with us.
Na kuwa ukipata msiba, bima peke yake ndio inaweza kukusaidia kuanzisha maisha upya.
Nimekiweka hiki kitabu ili kujikumbusha kwa kila wakati kuna mwanzo mpya.
APA, ensuring happiness. Your Wealth in 90 Seconds, brought to you by Standard Chartered Priority Banking. Have you locked your investments with little flexibility to do more?
I'm Paul Njoki, Head of Affluent Banking and Wealth Management, Kenya and East Africa. At a point in time, you will need cash flow to solve for a personal need or to invest and achieve higher return out of your portfolio. At Standard Chartered Priority Banking, we have the expertise to help you unlock the value of your portfolio by lending up to 70% in various currencies, including the US dollars, pounds, euros, and of course the Kenya shillings. My team of relationship managers, investment advisors, and insurance advisors are here to serve you, to help you achieve your life goals. Welcome to private banking today.
Join Standard Chartered Priority Banking today. Email prioritybanking.ke@sc.com. Wealth expertise made to matter.
Life often deviates from our plans. Regrettably, unexpected events such as illness, accidents, and home break-ins can occur. Given the unpredictability of life, insuring oneself against these events is a wise choice. APA Insurance covers these things that bring you joy, including your health, car, and home. We prioritize your present and future happiness by ensuring with APA Insurance, you can protect your happiness. Contact us today.
I keep this to remind myself that retirement can be happy. If you have anything in your life that gives you happiness, you have to insure it.
APA, ensuring happiness. Club Kiboko Festival is here. The Standard Group Fraternity is inviting you to the Bonding and Fun event on 29th of April 2023 at the Ulinzi Sports Complex, Langata. You don't want to miss the fun-filled environment where up to 3,000 kids will consume various products and be engaged in edutainment, outdoor activities, concerts, and outdoor gaming experience. Be a part of the Club Kiboko Festival and get value on brand experiential and engagement spaces, gaming stations, an expo area, and mentions. Get your tickets today on Ticket Hub at 500 shillings for kids and 300 shillings for adults. To book your space or get more details, call 0727 201 922 or email hgikandi@standardmedia.co.ke. Club Kiboko Festival. Miss it, miss out. KTN News. Get the whole story. KTN Business News, brought to you by NCBA Bank.
Welcome back to Newsline. Like I told you earlier, we'll be having a conversation shortly with the leadership of the National Assembly. The Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, who is also the woman rep for Uasin-Gishu County, Gladys Boschole, is already here with us, as well as the Deputy Minority Leader, who is also the MP for Kathiani constituency, the Honorable Robert Mbui. We'll be having a conversation about the bipartisan talks and the role that Parliament has got to play in those talks, plus also in the affairs of running government. But first, let's talk about business. Now, the government says the delay in salaries for civil servants and legislators occurred after it was forced to prioritize debt repayments while maintaining that it will not borrow to pay salaries. But this raises the question as to how government collects and spends its money to ensure service delivery to Kenyans. Here is Jimmy Mbogo, who takes a look into government spending and tells us just how much the government has collected and spends on a monthly basis.
From the onset, the Kenya Kwanza administration spoke out on inheriting a broke government, pointing to the high debt burden. But 7 months in, the government has found itself in a cash crunch that has, for the first time in recent memory, led to salary delays for civil servants and legislators. But just how does government get the cash needed to operate? For the answers to this, we turn to the last available full month spending by government, February 2023. According to the Kenya Gazette, on the 1st of February 2023, the government had 9 billion shillings in its account. During the month of February, KRA collected 131.4 billion shillings in taxes, while state corporations raised 8.3 billion shillings in non-tax revenue. During the month, the government borrowed just over 29 billion shillings from the domestic market and received 7.8 billion shillings in foreign loans and grants. In total, the government had over 185.5 billion shillings to spend in the month of February, and spend it did. Ministries and government agencies spent 72.9 billion shillings on recurrent expenses and a mere 17.1 billion shillings on development expenditure. Counties were allocated 21.9 billion shillings, while salaries, pension and allowances took up 5.8 billion shillings, which brings us to the real elephant in the room, the national debt repayment, which took up 66.7 billion shillings, or just over 36% of government spending in February. On the 28th of February 2023, the government account had a mere 2 billion shillings. Though the figures for March are yet to be available, we can surmise that any debt due at the beginning of any month are near impossible to repay.
Followed by state corporations.
This brings us to today, where at tough talking, President William Ruto moved to reassure civil servants that they will receive their pay, but said the government will never borrow to pay salaries.
We will not continue the old tradition of borrowing money to pay recurrent expenditure, to pay salaries. We are going to pay salaries from our own resources. We are going to carry out our recurrent expenditure using our own resources. And we have moved our fiscal deficit to 5.7%.
The other challenges facing the government is the nature and structure of Kenya's debt being foreign currency denominated, loans and domestic bonds. To understand this, we turn to the medium-term debt management strategy, which shows that as of December 2022, the country had an outstanding nominal debt of 8.9 trillion, comprising of domestic debt of 4.4 trillion shillings and an external debt of 4.5 trillion shillings. Now, the debt has since risen to 9.18 trillion shillings. The US dollar is the leading denomination for Kenya's debt composition at 61%, a factor that has pushed up the cost of loan repayment as the shilling weakens against the US dollar.
In the next 1 month or so, you will see dollars coming down, the exchange rate coming down in a very phenomenal way. In fact, in my estimation, in the next couple of months, the exchange rate will come below 120 shillings.
In about 2 months' time, the Kenya Kwanza government will be tabling its first budget in parliament. Now, the question that many Kenyans will be hoping to see is whether they will be able to walk the fiscal consolidation path, or will they pick up the borrowing spree from where the previous administration left it. Jimmy Mbogo, KTN News, Parliament Buildings.
Thank you, Jimmy. In an effort to unlock the full potential of Kenya's livestock subsector, herders in the arid and semi-arid lands are being encouraged to take up insurance to protect their animals against drought risk. The State Department for Livestock is set to launch the De-risking, Inclusion and Value Enhancement of Pastoral Economies in partnership with ZEPRI Insurance Company, Kenya Development Corporation and the World Bank.
Recent statistics from the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock indicate that the total drought losses to the Kenyan economy were 968.6 billion shillings, with 72% of these related to livestock.
It is estimated that the country lost about 2.5 million heads of cattle, which I think, Okwara, the figure is about, total figure of that loss alone is about $1.8 billion.
The government is set to roll out a project dubbed DRIVE, or De-risking, Inclusion and Value Enhancement of Pastoral Economies, which will target over 150,000 pastoralists through the creation of markets around the livestock value chain, enhance regional cooperation and peace building to eliminate banditry.
If you had some good, for a chunk of the goats, like for example Kajiado, you had some good chunk of 30 goats, 50 goats saved in form of cash in a bank. And this dot comes and wipes out what was remaining in the life form. It becomes very easy for you to go back to that bank and get the same animals restocked.
The DRIVE project will be implemented in 21 arid and semi-arid land counties, targeting pastoral groups that are sufficiently structured around productive activities.
So we will do an advert for financial intermediaries, that is the SACCOs that we are targeting, the cooperatives, to be able to apply for this funding in terms of wholesale lending, so that then they onward lend to their members.
The system actually does pay a farmer straight to their account. So you remember, you must have opened an account, a mobile account or a physical account, and this is where your payment is going to.
The project is categorized into two components, where $75 million will be used to subsidize premiums, promote savings and digital payouts. Component 2 will use $65 million to connect pastoralists with better markets, better quality infrastructure and improved logistics. For KTN News, I'm Paul Thiongo.
Will last year's Premier League champions Manchester City survive an impending ban? We'll tell you in our sports news.
If I ever feel reluctant to pay for my insurance, I look at this leaf from that branch and it's my reminder to renew my insurance.
APA, ensuring happiness.
KTN News. Get the whole story.
In over 60 years of dealing with